You good? Okay. We're going to go ahead and call to order this May 17th meeting of the Henderson County Board of Education. I'd like to make a comment prior to moving through the agenda. We have added to our agenda an item number 5 since we've opened up the board meeting to more people, and that item 5 is public participation and recognition of any guests. If anybody is in the audience that wishes to address this board for any matter that is not on the agenda, that's the time that we would entertain you addressing this board. However, you do need to fill out a piece of paper with your name, address, topic, and so forth, and please give that to Miss Robin Newton up here at the front. Other than that, we'll move right into the agenda that we have. We have listed as item 1A, a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. I'm going to kind of diverge from the moment of silence and just ask most of you to remember why we're here. Just take a second and remember why we're here. And if you can't remember, just turn around and look. And I don't mind giving you my point of view. One, I'm an advocate of public education. I'm a champion for the superintendent and the administration. And I want to make sure that every child in the Henderson County School District gets an opportunity for the best education they can get. And again, if you can't remember why, just turn around and look. And you can see a prime example of them sitting right behind you. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so very much. Bob, do you have somebody who want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, could I ask one of our student ambassadors to come up front? Mr. Moore, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, Mr. Lawson. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll introduce him in a few minutes, right? The next item on the agenda would be the approval of the agenda. Everybody has received this agenda prior to the meeting. If there aren't any questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Have a motion from Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 I read your lips. It's unanimous. Next item would be students and staff recognition. Dr. Lawson, that would be you.
Thank you, Mr. Waller. As you said, many of our Ys are here tonight, and we're here to recognize them for pursuing excellence in all they do in Henderson County Schools. I'd like to first ask that our Henderson County High School academic team, quick recall state champions, come up front, and their coaches, Brian Sullivan, Sarah Hardy, assistant coach. And if you all would come up to the front up here, please, and I'd ask our board members to come out from back there, and we're going to put our medals of excellence on these students and get a group picture. You guys have been picture there. Wes, Rowley, Kurt, who took the picture there. Get all y'all in there. Give this folks a hand. If you all will stick up here for just a second. Team members include Maggie Privet, Andrew Russell, Avery Wagner, Josh Freeman, Jacob Fulcher, Ryan Nance, Julianne Latimer, Abby Salisbury, and Brent Raleigh. And Coach, would you like to make a few comments, please?
I'll try to be brief. I'll try really hard to be brief. This has been a tough year for everybody. The academic team is no exception to that. All we've had all year is online competitions, and that's kind of hard. You see a lot of these kids who were actually competing at state from their bedrooms, which is really an odd thing to do. But we managed to not have to do that this year. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about this team. They have worked so hard, but they've also had a lot of fun. It's hard to believe that studying can be fun, but they seem to find a way to make it fun. And Mr. Sullivan, who unfortunately can't be here today, it's his anniversary, and I think he decided he would be in a lot of trouble if he was here tonight instead of there. So, but he tends to make it, the whole thing, a whole lot of fun. And I think they really enjoy coming to practice. They enjoy competing. And so they work hard because they're having a lot of fun, and they are having a lot of fun because they're working hard. They are not only state champions this year in quick recall, they're back-to-back state champions. We didn't have it last year, but in 2019, they won it as well. And this year, we managed to go to Owensboro and compete together there, which was wonderful because we got to have some parents show up and got to really enjoy the whole competition, a lot more than those kids who were sitting in their bedrooms competing at state. As state champions, they never trailed in the second half of any match. Out of 640 questions at state, the team was only behind for 26 total questions at all. In single elimination, which is the last 4 matches of the competition, we outscored our opponents 227 to 114. It's a pretty good margin. Our average margin of victory was 28.25 points, which is huge when you're talking about competing against the best teams in the state. I mean, that's really a kind of a knockdown for some of those other teams. We are, as a quick recall team, we are 15-0 at state since the 2018 consolation round. That's a pretty good record. And since 2016, we have a record of 32-3 at state. There aren't any teams other than us in the state who can say things like that. In addition to winning quick recall, I also wanted to mention that we had a little bit of girl power going on this year. And usually our academic team doesn't have a whole lot of girls, so we're really thrilled that we had some girls this year, especially since they were so successful, because at state, the top 10 place in various subjects. And all 3 of these young ladies up here placed at state. Maggie Privet placed 3rd in Arts and Humanities and 4th in Language Arts. Julianne Latimer placed 9th in Math, and Abby Salisbury placed 8th in Language Arts. So just please give them another hand. They've worked awfully hard this year.
So Mr. Ransom and I had a chance to go down and watch them compete. I think it was the semifinals or the quarterfinals, and you were playing or competing against Manual High School. Is that correct? And we were playing DuPont Manual, which, if you don't know, DuPont Manual is a magnet school in Louisville, Kentucky. And girls, don't let me misquote this, but it was halftime, and we were up by maybe 1 or 2. What was it? We were up by 1 or 2 at halftime. And when our team got in the huddle over there, you could feel the energy coming off them. And you could feel it. And they were saying, we worked harder than they have. We know the answers. We're better than they are. And we're about to go out and beat them. and they dominated the second half. I think we ended up beating them by about 20, didn't we? So we beat them 31-12 in the second half. When it was go time, our kids were ready. And I want to congratulate and commend our coaches, because those other kids were taking tests and doing these things from their bedrooms. Our coaches created a scenario at the hotel down the river in Owensboro that was very much like it would have been in the Galt House. They made sure our kids were prepared in terms of all the practice they did, but they also created the right scenario for our kids to compete at the highest level. And that's what it takes to be champions. That's why you are champions, and we couldn't be more proud. Great job. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Did I miss anything? About their parents? Yes, if I could ask their parents to also stand up, please. The parents of our academic team players. Thank you all very much. You all are a tremendous support, and I laugh because I know you all were making sure they had all the food and they had everything else that they needed, and you've supported them all this way, so thank you very, very much for your continued support in that. Next, we are going to move on to our Henderson County High School girls basketball team, Final Four at the state tournament. Girls, would y'all come up, please? And coaches, y'all come help. Board members, would you come help put the medals on, please? You guys will get very close to them too. We'll get a picture, please.
Mr. Waller,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say congratulations to one of my all-time favorite students in the world, Miss Savannah Lacer.
I'm not sure which one she is, but I'm sure that she knows who she is. And she
Right
said,
there.
thank you.
I'm sending you a hug, Savannah.
Y'all stay right here for just a second, please. Team members are Mallory Veal, Jaree Thomas, Savannah Lacer, Alexa Mullins, J.C. Risley, Shaylin Sprinkles, Sadie Worth, Allison Rideout, Gracie Risley, Caitlin Kemp, Lauren Hubbard, Micaiah Dixon, Carice Toombs, Brooklyn Gibson, Ashton Lynham, and Anna Kemp. Girls, give them a hand if you don't mind. Coach, do you mind talking for just a second about the team?
Thank you. We got a few that aren't here. They had softball and some other things, but they would normally be here. But we appreciate the school board having us here tonight. We appreciate Dr. Lawson and all the support we've had all year long. It's been a long journey with everything that's been going on with the COVID, but one thing I say about this group, they were really disciplined on making sure they stayed where they should be and wore their mask. And we were pretty much lucky. A lot of teams didn't get to play all the season. We did. We didn't miss any games, any practices, hardly at all. So that was a good thing for us, and ended up helping us at the end of the season, I think, to be together the whole year without having to sit out. So, but otherwise, a great group of kids, hardworking. We work them hard. They accepted it. They come in and they play hard. They work hard. They get along with each other. Couldn't ask any more of a group that come in and accept each other, practice hard. It's not easy. It's something that they work hard for, is to try to win this district and region and go to the state tournament every year. That's our goal. And once we get there, we're really trying to win a state championship. We still haven't done that, but we're still working on it. But to get to the Final Four, something I told them the other night, something they'll always remember, something to tell their kids or grandkids, playing in a rough arena, the whole 9 yards, something you'll always remember, and so proud of them and proud of our coaches for all they do and all the time they put into. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. And young ladies, I have 2 daughters, and if you'd been here earlier, you've seen a picture of them. And so when I bring them to Lady Colonel basketball games, I tell them to watch you, because I really appreciate the way you compete and the way you play together as a team and the way you count on each other. And you're so disciplined to do your job within the scheme. I want my daughters to play the way you play. And I want to tell you, in Henderson County, we have a brand, and that brand is toughness. It's about doing what you're supposed to do. It's about out-competing folks, out-working folks, and being disciplined and doing it even better than anybody else. And you all exude that. And I believe the main reason you do is because of your coaches and your parents and those that surround you. In fact, you all may not know this, Coach Hale is one of the winningest coaches in the state. He's won over 700 games. I know he probably wouldn't tell you that. It might be more than 750 games. And Coach Hale and I used to do duty together many years ago. And when we talk about excellence in all we do, that's who Jeff Hale is. And, one of our coaches is a new parent. And so I know one of our coaches, too, had a baby maybe a little bit later, I think. So we had a lot of commitment from the parents. Parents really appreciate your support on behalf of the parents and the coaches and all those students, all the student athletes. You had the support of your school, and you represented Henderson well. We couldn't be more proud. Thank you all very much. Yeah, do we have the girls basketball parents here? Girls basketball parents? Do you all stand up? Coach Veal. Saw you trying to exit, Coach Veal. I had to pull you back in here. We really appreciate all the parents do to support those student athletes. Thank you very much. Also tonight, we'd like to ask our Henderson County High School student ambassadors that are here to please stand. And those students are Dylan Moore, Maggie Moore, and Jordan Troutman. Please give them a hand. Thank you all very much for being fine ambassadors for Henderson County High School and Henderson County Schools. You're very welcome. Thank you. Okay, if you all move on down the agenda, we'll move to our community partner spotlight. And tonight we have a very important community partner here, and that is.
Let me interrupt you, Bob, just 1 second, Dr. Lawson. Thank you, folks, for coming in tonight. I'll tell you what, it makes the board meeting really, really excellent to see the young people like you are and the success that you folks have and the parents that come with them. And this is my favorite part of the whole meeting. Then we get down to the normal business of what goes on. But this is the best part, and we really appreciate you guys coming out and showing up. Thank you so very much. Now you go ahead and leave. Go ahead, Dr. Lawson, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's perfect. Thank you. So next on to our community partner spotlight. Tonight, we'd like to say thank you to Henderson Community College for your community partnership and support of our students. This year, your faculty and staff have donated a tremendous amount of food to our weekend backpack program, and we are very grateful for that. Thank you additionally for your partnership with the early college program. And those folks in attendance tonight are Dr. Jason Warren, Ms. Kara Becker, Stacy Howell, Mr. Bill Gary, Dr. Renee Wagner, and Dr. Chad Phillips. They are critical to our backpack program. And I'd like to ask those folks to come up front, please. And Dr. Warren, if you all would meet me right over there. Give them a hand, please.
While they're taking your picture, the individuals up here getting their picture taken tonight from HCC play a critical and important role not only at HCC, but in their partnership with Henderson County Schools. One of the things that these individuals have implemented at HCC is our backpack program feeds a lot of our students on the weekends. It is critically important for our students to have that food when they don't know a lot of times when they leave us on Friday where their next meal is going to come from. But each month, the faculty and staff at Henderson Community College, they put out an email to all their staff, and they bring in shelf-stable items. Then they deliver them once a month. Sometimes it's every other week, and then we disperse those to our youth service centers to make sure that all of our students that are in need of food over the weekend know that they're going to have something to eat. So I really appreciate what you do for our families from our youth service center perspective, but also each one of these people up here has a place in my heart because of the partnership that we have with HCC academically. And they've reached out to us. We have a wonderful working relationship, and the role that they play with us in educating our community and our students and giving them a world-class education once they leave the Henderson County school system and move on to HCC. So I want to thank you all very much. The food is appreciated, but also the education and the partnership from our standpoint, we are appreciative of that, and we appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Appreciate those words, sir. And thank you all for coming and showing up. Next item on our agenda would be public participation and recognition of guests. At this time, we've had one person that wants to address the board for an item that is not on the agenda, and that would be Faith to Jesus. And so if you have 3 minutes to address the board with the subject matter you'd like to, and appreciate it. We'll have a microphone for you, or you can come up to the podium. And we need to get you on the microphone so that it'll go over whatever we're doing.
I don't know what to do with one of those.
Just hold it and speak into it.
Hold it and talk.
I don't know if I can do that. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you for letting me come here. This journey started several weeks ago with a meeting with Mr. Lawson and Mrs. Gibson. And Ms. Robin, I want to thank you very much for setting up that meeting and for the phone call today. I'm here because of that meeting and because I love the kids of this county and also this nation. That particular meeting opened a rabbit hole which I fell into very fast. The first thing was I couldn't find out the schools y'all represented as a school board. I looked on the websites. I sent all of y'all emails. I heard back from one of you. That's just the way life is. I would hope that it was just an oversight. But one of the things that can help with that is to fix it. I went to the website. It was wonderful. It gave your name, contact information, but it did not tell me what schools you represent. Now, this lovely young lady told me today how I could go about finding that, but the problem for parents and parents that are concerned, oftentimes we don't know how to get a hold of you. And to have to make phone calls to find out to do, that's a rabbit hole that they don't want to go down. It can be easily solved. You have a webmaster, ask him to post the schools you independently represent underneath your name. You know, name, contact information, I represent these schools. Something else that would be very beneficial is to have an explanation of exactly what the school board does. In a month, I've gone around at a suggestion from someone that I talk to the parents and find out if what I addressed in the meeting was an overall issue. In that talking to parents, and a lot of them over a month, none of them knew what the school board did. They didn't know they could contact the school board. They had no clue. I'm talking just regular people like me, not professional people, just people in Walmart shopping. So what could happen is that you could have that also added onto your website. This is what the school board does. Come and contact us if you have a problem. When my kids that are now grown were in school, we knew who our school board members were. We could call them. We could say, we see this problem, and that school board member would investigate it, and they would come back to us and say, we checked it out, this is what the real problem is, or they would just handle it internally. So that's a suggestion. Please, fix it. I'm a grandmother. I was frustrated to all get out. If one child is affected by something that's happening within a school, isn't it worth looking into and finding out and reporting results? I don't have time tonight to tell you everything that I learned from parents that were a concern. And they are similar. Not similar to what I discussed with Mr. Lawson, but they are similar and they're disturbing. I can't go into that tonight. The last thing I want to address is critical thinking. Critical thinking has been a part of the school curriculum since my granddaughter, now in college, was at South Heights Elementary. At the time, I was not aware that critical thinking skills is a precursor to CRT and 1619 agendas. These agendas are dangerous for the children. Our children and the children of this nation. If you don't know what they are, you got a board member here that can tell you, and probably tell you a lot more than you ever wanted to know. And you as parents here, if you don't know what it is, find out and talk to your board member and find out what it is. It's dangerous and it's horrible. It should not come into the schools. Take time to find out what it is. It's your responsibility as an elected official representing the parents of this community, this county. You'll be held responsibility to take action once I've informed you that these things are coming into the Kentucky schools, which will bring it in. There is about maybe 6, 7 states already that have banned CRT. It's that bad. It is that bad. The 1619 theory is that bad. They want to wipe out our history. And therefore, if they wipe out our history, they're going to wipe out everything that this community has stood for since I moved in here 40 years ago. Now, I was told to be nice, not by anybody here. So I'm going to leave it at that. I've probably gone over 3 minutes. If I could really tell you what was in my heart, it would take a whole lot longer and I'd be in tears. But thank you. Thank you for hearing. Pay attention. Ask about it. And if you can fix that website, please do it. I have parents that I've talked to parents that don't have a clue as to what you guys do.
Thank you. We appreciate the time. We appreciate your comments. And next item on the agenda would be to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. And that would be my thing is not moving along with Robin. Is anybody else having that trouble? I've got it on autopilot, but it's not moving with you. Approve the minutes from the April 19, 2021 regular board meeting. This time I'd entertain a motion unless there's changes to the minute. Have a motion from Mr. Alvis. I saw Tracy second it. I read your lips. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. The vote is unanimous. Next item would be reports, New Jefferson Elementary School update. And Mr. John Hagan Codell, or are you going to do that for him, Mr. Steiner?
Sir, I'll be doing that.
Thank you.
He wasn't able to be here this evening, so he shared an email with me to ask if I would take care of that for him. Over the past few weeks, the remainder of the first floor concrete slab on grade of the entire building was completed. The load-bearing masonry walls of Area A are up to the second floor elevation and have been completed. This allowed steel joist and decking on the second floor to be installed in roughly 60% of the building. Currently, roughly half of the second floor classroom's concrete slab has been poured. If the weather cooperates next week, which is this week, and it doesn't look favorable, but it looks better now than it did last week, the majority of the second floor will also be poured. The same area serves not only as the second floor slab, but also the concrete lid of the rooms below. And then all of these classrooms in that wing, they form a tornado shelter for the students and staff in the event of a weather issue. Next week which is this week, should include the completion of the rear gym wall, allowing roof trusses to be set in that area. Although it was not originally scheduled to be the first area to receive a roof, it appears that it will be, while the second floor masonry walls are being completed over the next month. The interior of the building, the domestic water lines, sanitary sewer, electrical work continues to be progressing overhead on the first floor. He expects the sprinkler and metal framing contractors to mobilize within the next month to begin throughout the building. The framing in the office will begin while awaiting the extensive roof framing required to start the membrane roof on the front of the building. And the concrete sidewalks around the perimeter of the site have also progressed, not waiting on the masonry work so they can free up more of the second floor slab. That's the update so far that we have. Next up, if it's okay, if I go forward,
Any questions with regards to
sorry.
the update this
Okay.
time? It's moving right along. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, sir. Sorry. There is one short change order to be presented, and that's coming from the food service manager, CNT Design, in the amount of $1,829.56. It's a request from the food service director to upgrade to a combi oven in the kitchen, and that will be the same type of oven that's currently used in the other schools within the district. So I'll ask for your approval, if that's all right, in the amount of $1,829.56.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve a change from the oven that was originally spec'd, and this is where it's going to get us back to the same kind of ovens we have everywhere else there, Billy and Steve.
Yes, sir.
And we want to be as consistent as we possibly can, so I'll entertain a motion. We approve change over 13-2 from Mr. Alvis. Have a motion, have a second. Was that Kirk or Wes? Second from Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 Vote unanimous. Thank you. Next item would be our capital projects. And
We got Mr. Craig.
Mr. Craig Thomas.
Yes, sir.
I was looking for a list. I'm just kidding you, man. Go
I'm
ahead.
filling in for Alyssa tonight. After reading the agenda, I really wish she was here, but
I can understand it.
I'm here for a reason to present the South Heights bids and to go over with you all the status of the project. Can you hear me? So, as you all know, and you may or may not know this, but once we receive bids, then we start looking into the bids and to try to determine have they met in all the correct standards, have they properly filled out the documents, are there any issues with any of the documents they have provided us. In doing so, I've handed out a packet, and I believe that they have that email pulled up. We've been going through these bids since we received them. We received multiple bids
from contractors that are based out of state. The low bid, the parent low bidder is based out of Illinois. And in their bid packet, they had submitted 2 documents that led us to believe that they had obtained resident bidder status. And that is important because Kentucky has a procurement law that says any state that has a preferential bid law, we have to use that against them if they have it. Illinois has a preferential bid law. So it became very important for us to confirm if Everard attained residential bid status in the state of Kentucky. They submit 2 documents with us. One showing a letter that states they obtained it, but they followed it up with a letter that states they've never paid unemployment insurance taxes in Kentucky. In consulting with your attorney, we both believe that that excludes them from obtaining the resident bidder status. Does anyone have questions about resident bidding status? Therefore, we have to look and see what the bid preference law of Illinois is. And Illinois has a bid preference law that states that anytime they've had 2 consecutive months of unemployment greater than 5%, then they have a bid preference law that states that 90% of the employees assigned to that job must be from Illinois. That has kicked in, and your attorney has confirmed that that has kicked in Illinois. Therefore, we went and looked at their sub. Their HVAC sub is out of Evansville. We have contacted them. They have sent us a document that states that they will have anywhere from 25% to 50% of the workforce on this project out of Indiana. Therefore, they would not meet the 90% law. If they don't meet it, then Everard can't meet it because Everard's already stated they don't employ anyone from the state of Kentucky. Therefore, our conclusion is that the low bid, based upon that information, is Danco. And therefore, we would implement 2 things. One, Everard does not meet the resident bidder status. And 2, we have to implement Illinois' bidder preference law. Therefore, Danco is the parent low bidder. Danco has provided us documents stating that they are resident bidder. Danco has a business office in Owensboro, Kentucky, and Danco has, for what they tell me, for roughly 10 to 12 years, paid and filed state taxes, unemployment insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So it appears they meet resident bidder status. Are there any questions about any of this? Therefore,
Ms. Byrd, you're confirming all this, what I understand, correct? So we're on good legal grounds to continue through this recommendation as we're seeing it.
This is one of those that we took a step further than just the basic low bid on paper and then evaluated in terms of lowest and best bids as to who qualifies, which is permissible. And we did, we both looked at the statute and the fact they did not pay unemployment taxes. The statute requires 3 things, and it's an and, it's not an or, it's an and. They didn't meet all 3.
Okay.
So they don't qualify. So.
Thank you.
and they documented to us they don't meet all 3.
Good enough.
And therefore, we don't believe they meet resident bidder status, and therefore it automatically kicks in if Illinois has a bid preference law.
Okay. Thank you.
So therefore, our recommendation is that you award the project to Danco Construction. So a couple of things I want to point out. We had a budget on the project, I think $4,050,000 construction. We're still $200 and something thousand under that budget by going to Danco. So we feel comfortable about our budget. We feel comfortable about Danco. And we think it's the right thing to do and the appropriate thing to do under the law.
Okay, so under this South Heights replacement of the HVAC, we have several items. One is approval of the bids, one is approval of special inspection of the bids, one's approval of commissioning of the bids, and one's approval of revised BG1. How are we going to address you going to address each of those individually? Or should we?
Unfortunately, I have been so fixated on determining the bidder status, I did not bring copies of the other pieces. I'm not sure if my staff has transmitted those. But what we would like for you to do is to approve Danco as the low bid and approve the revised BG1 in that amount. Now, keep in mind, the revised BG1 dollar amount matches the original BG1 because there's some asbestos abatement that has to be done, and we just took that money and moved it over to it. So it's basically approving a BG1 that would be almost identical to the original BG1.
So then I would interpret this as a recommendation to approve BG1, to approve the change, and then Danco as the bidder for the South Heights Elementary HVAC project.
Yes, sir.
So I'd entertain a motion that we approve the recommendation as presented.
So moved.
A motion for Mr. Alvis. And a second.
Second.
Second for Mr. Haynes. Any questions? Thank goodness. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 Read your lips too. Thank you. It's coming through quicker now, though. What's next on the list?
Softball lighting.
Yes, this should improve the approval of the commissioning of the bids, approval of the special inspection of the bids. All that is work that's being applied to this BG1 to complete this project, is what I'm interpreting.
Please, thank you.
Okay, the next one would be softball lighting.
Yes, sir. Again, on the softball lighting, we don't have this issue, which is very good. Musco, we broke it out where we're taking bids for the lights and bids for the contractor to provide accessory materials and installation. Musco, who is the lighting manufacturer, was the only bid we received for lights in the amount of $75,000. That's a direct purchase order, so you all actually will save taxes on that. Number two, we received multiple bids on the electrical install. Low bid was Knight Electric out of Russellville, Kentucky of $62,700. So your total construction project cost is $166,700. And the original BG1 was like 208. So we're well under budget. Original construction estimate was 170. So we're well under the budget on that one as well. And so when you approve the BG1, it actually is showing a smaller amount because we don't have asbestos to deal with in this project.
Thank you. So the first item on the list would be to approve BG 21-073, the bid package for those materials supplied by Musco. Is that
Yes, sir.
Musco for the lighting at the softball field? So I'd entertain a motion to approve that recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Alvis. A second from
Second.
Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. Next item would be to approve the bid package for labor and installation for the BG 21073, and that would be from the
Knight Electric.
site. I didn't memorize that.
From Knight Electric.
Knight Electric to do the installation of the lighting on softball field. So I'd entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as
So moved.
presented. Have a motion from Mr. Alvis, second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Smith. Is that what I got? Okay. Can't see y'all moving under those masks.
Well, we can take them off.
We will soon enough.
Yeah,
All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous. See you, Tracy. And then approval of the revised BG1 to do all this. Is that what I'm understanding for the BG
Yes, sir.
21073? So I'd entertain a motion that we approve BG 21073 to do all this.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Alvis, second from
Second.
Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, the vote is unanimous. Craig, I think that's it for you, isn't it? Unless you're
Oh, there's-
dealing with this next one too.
Two more. The schematic drawings for Central County Fire Alarm. We just need you all to approve the schematic drawings.
Okay, we've got a motion, or we have a recommendation that we approve the schematic drawings, and all this is indicate where we're going to put the fire alarm system at Central Academy. Is that right, Mr. Tyner?
Yes, sir.
We've reviewed that, and we know it's in the right place, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. So I'd entertain a motion that we approve this schematic drawing as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Alvis, second from
Second.
Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Vote unanimous. Next item would be approval of schematic drawings for the South Middle School fire alarm replacement project. We've reviewed those drawings, and we're putting them in the right place, so we'd entertain a motion right now that we approve the schematic drawings for South Middle School fire alarm system.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Alvis,
Second.
second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Thomas. Appreciate you being here and explaining that complicated, whatever it is, bid package you said. I was trying to follow that in my head, and I got lost and got dizzy at the same time. Thank you. Next item would be the Henderson County High School soccer locker room building project. This is where you come in there, Mr. Steiner.
Yes, sir. Over the past several years, we've been working towards completing a locker room or getting started a locker room for our soccer teams. Neither boys nor girls have a room at this time, and so our goal has been to take care of that. Tonight, I bring you a BG1. The number is 21297. And consulting with Dr. Lawson, with Ms. Cindy Cloutier, the principal and athletic director and coaches, we would like to present the BG1 to start the project for a Henderson County High School soccer locker room, please.
Okay, so the recommendation is that we approve this BG1 21-297 for a locker room, and I'll go on record as saying that our athletic facilities need a significant upgrade throughout. We've spread them out throughout that campus. When we originally built that football stadium, there's, I think, 4 locker rooms in there. One for the home team, which is the football locker room, one for the visiting team that's also a baseball locker room, and one for a girls' track and one for a boys' track. And that's about it, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And we need to do some significant upgrading of our athletic facilities out there. And this is a good start. We've got a successful athletic program, and we have a soccer program that's excellent, and a soccer field that's excellent. But they can't get dressed, so we need to find a place for them to get dressed. So I'd entertain a motion. We accept this recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion for Mr. Alvis,
Second.
second for Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote is unanimous. And then approval of the owner-architect agreement, and that's with RBS Design, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So I'd entertain a motion that for this BG 21-297 that we use RBS Design to get this project moving. So
Is that both items 1 and 2 under the soccer
Yes, sir. That would. give a
approval of
second.
BG1 and then approval of owner-architect agreement?
We
Is that
just
2
approved-
motions?
No, we just approved the BG1 for the project, get moving. Now this is approval of the owner-architect agreement. So
Okay.
I entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Alvis, that we use RBS design for this BG 21-297. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Votes unanimous. And then an approval for capital funds request,
Sir.
and that is for that.
That particular facility, but I would, if it's okay, like to echo your comments. There have been, over the last 4 or 5 years since we've gotten the nickel tax, been a lot of things done to our school buildings and for our academic areas. And one of the places that we've tried to touch was our athletic facilities, but we haven't placed an emphasis on that due to the needs that we had in our buildings. We're at a spot where we're able to do some of those things as well as supplement with our other facilities. So I appreciate the fact that you're serving on our LPC and will help us guide that next phase of this. So thank you for that information. But yes, as far as capital funds request, there is a capital funds request in front of you, and we're asking for those amounts to be sent to those particular places. As you know, capital funds requests come from monies that we didn't spend somewhere else. And so the facilities for the soccer team, we would ask for $733,500 for that BG1 specifically.
So you've heard the recommendation from Mr. Steiner.
I have a question,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. So could any of the ESSER funds be spent for any of the technology outlay? Like for the smart boards, for the Chromebooks?
Not for the direct service. We plan on spending some of it, the 15% above the 85% direct service, for some technology items. But this will certainly help to use a capital funds request to pay for these ViewSonic boards. Because what happens with your restricted funds in an odd year, if you don't spend them, they become more restricted. So then you have to escrow them for some particular project that we don't even know what that project is yet. So we try to reimburse the general fund for some of these expenses or pay for technology or buses.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a really silly question, trying to
Nothing silly. Keep going.
I'm
sir.
trying to learn what I've learned at KSBA over the weekend. So out of the general fund, which of the 7 funds is it that we're trying to pay back into?
Well, we're taking money from the restricted fund, like the building fund.
Okay.
Or the capital outlay fund, and moving it to the general fund. So that is protecting the general fund. Because
Okay.
we're reimbursing ourselves for property insurance. This is what
Okay.
a lot of schools do across the state. You can reimburse yourself for technology, buses, things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Construction, maintenance.
I just took Finance 3 yesterday, so I'm trying to put what I learned on paper into real action. Thank you so much.
You'll be dizzier than Craig had us here in a minute. Okay. You've heard the recommendation from Mr. Steiner that we approve these capital funds.
I move we support the recommendation of Assistant Superintendent Steiner.
I have a motion from Mr. Haynes. I have a second from Mike Waller. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. So you got your money.
Sure.
Still up on the
Yes, sir.
podium there, Steve.
Yes, sir. I got several tonight. Sorry. Get your money's worth tonight, sir. So the next area is, well, it's something that we need to do. I was surprised that we had to do it, but after speaking with Craig and our KDE representative, there's a crime prevention through environmental design, a CEPTED survey that needs to be completed for the project that involves our camera systems and our card access systems. It seemed obvious to us that that would fall into crime protection, but KDE's asked us to do that CEPTED survey. So we have done that, and I've shared that with RBS, who's working with us on that particular project. And so tonight, I'm just asking you to approve the checklist has been done, and we'll submit that to KDE and move that safety upgrade even further along.
So we've had an opportunity to review this checklist. Is there any questions or comments concerning the checklist that Mr. Steiner's provided for us? Obviously not, so the recommendation is approve this checklist. So I'd entertain a motion, we approve the checklist that has been presented for BG 20-222.
Second.
So moved.
Have a motion from Ms. Williams, second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous. Thank you, sir. We'll start with Mr. Ransom or Mr. Andrews first. You're first on the list, then go ahead, Mr. Ransom. Each of these items are going to be an update for us of what's going on at the high school with regards to an organization structure as well as the athletics results. It doesn't require any kind of action from us. So it's all yours, sir.
Thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight. Just wanted to give you some updates, like you said, about what we're doing at the high school. You all that's been here long enough know that the school within a school concept started whenever we put the blue unit in the high school. And at that time, there was not that many dual credit AP courses. We didn't have ninth graders coming in taking 10th grade classes. So it was easier at the time to schedule students within that unit, within the blue unit, green unit, or red unit. Times have changed. We got kids coming in. They're taking upper level classes as freshmen. We've got 20-something AP courses, dual credit courses, so it's not as easy. So we got kids going throughout the building. So we thought, hey, we don't want to throw the school within the school system completely out because it's got its advantages, but we want to make it better. All right, we just had those students here, and we want to make it better for them. And what we're doing is you can look through the presentation here, and like I said, we don't want to get rid of the school within a school. We want to continue to have that principal, those guidance counselors, and homeroom teachers in their units all 4 years. Okay? The changes that we're going to do is we're going back to departments. Okay? Things just come back around, all right? Not only did we go back to the departments, we're adjusting that to hopefully make it a smaller school feel for students. And what I mean by that is we're taking let's just take math, for example. They're going to be upstairs in the blue unit. Instead of just taking them and putting, random math teachers throughout the upstairs blue unit, we're putting the freshman math teachers in the front, and then the 10th grade math teachers, 11th and 12th, going to the back. Same thing with English. In the front, it's going to be freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Couple of reasons for that. Easier for kids to get around the building, all right? Also, we get those teachers right there together. They have a PLC. Let's just say they have a weekly PLC. The way we are right now in 3 different units, they have that meeting one day, they go to their units and they don't see each other again for another week. With this system, they get to see each other on a daily basis, and they can compare notes, their data, and see what's working and what's not working. All right? So just want to let you know that for going to the adjustments to the unit system. So do I have any questions, any comments, anything like that on the unit system and the changes that we're making?
Anybody have questions of Mr. Ransom with regards to the unit system and organization changes he's making in the school? Sounds good to us.
Thank you. Next, something else that, again, was put in for a good reason was the late start Wednesdays. But with the changes and all, it's become something that's become an issue really with our students. Instead of getting there earlier, they get there later a lot of times. So we got more tardies on those Wednesdays than we do other days. All right. And we also don't have enough time for PLCs to do those effectively. So going back to PLCs, we want to work on that, and that's going to improve teacher and the way they teach in their classroom. That's going to improve student learning. So if you look, I've got those notes up there. On early release days, PLCs will meet from 2:35 to 4:35. Well, on the late start Wednesdays, we were lucky to get 30 to 45 minutes in. This gives you a good extended amount of time, and it also includes our CTE teachers. On late start Wednesdays, they were on duty, so they weren't able to do their PLCs on these late start Wednesdays. With this new model, we'll be able to do that. We have some teachers that are not involved in PLCs, 25 to 26 teachers that can work with those students that need to stay there until 3:25. We got the Cheers program, so we'll use that to work with those students that need that extra help. And instead of trying to get them there early in the morning, we already have them there, and we can work with those students. Buses are going to run at regular time, so we can keep those students there and work with them on a 1-to-1 or small ratio to be able to hopefully improve the student learning. Also, we have issues with students coming to Saturday school, doing detentions and things like that. Well, instead of just giving them a consequence and not getting anything out of it, we can put them in this Cheers program, and that way, hopefully, not only are they paying their debt for the problem that they have caused, they're also getting some academic help that they need. All right? So not just serving time. Tell you what, do you have the next slide with the schedules? Yes. What about I'm sorry, that one right there. If you look at that schedule and you look at the difference of the regular bell schedule, classes are 47 to 48 minutes. And on those early release days, we're talking 43 to 44 minutes. So not a whole lot of change there, but we're talking about 14 Wednesdays that our teachers can get together, and then we can also work on a small ratio with those students that need that extra help. So that's why we're looking at going to early release Wednesdays instead of late start Wednesdays. So any questions about that?
Anyone? Moving right along.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Ransom. Appreciate the energy and effort. I know it takes a lot of time coordinating those kind of things.
I got a great team.
I can understand that. Appreciate you acknowledging them. Mr. Andrews, you're up. Appreciate it there. Jeff Hale made a comment when we recognized that basketball team that they went through all their practices and games, didn't have to cancel anything, and that's a testament to our coaches and the activities during this past year and the who knows what was going to happen on the discipline as well as the character of those coaches staying tuned to what we had set up, and I appreciate it. I know you were right at the bottom of that, making sure that happened. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know our coaches have worked really hard this year to follow those guidelines and do what needs to be done. And luckily, if you look at where we started back in July to where we are now, having completed all these seasons and the success that we've had, we are definitely fortunate for sure. Our personnel actions that have taken place since the last time that I updated you guys are Bob Sexton has resigned as the head bowling coach due to his retirement from teaching. Jermaine Pointer has resigned as the head wrestling coach due to his retirement from the Henderson Police Department. And Ben Dempsey has resigned as the head boys and girls swimming coach. That job is currently posted on the school's website. To update you on our winter sports, you got some of it last time that I wasn't here, but Mr. Ransom 2 months ago updated you some of this information. But we finished the seasons in most of these winter sports. So the boys basketball team ended up winning the 6th district tournament. They lost in the semifinals of the region tournament to the eventual champion, University Heights. The overall record for the boys team was 13-12. The girls basketball team, obviously we recognized them tonight already. They won the 6th district and the 2nd region tournaments. They won their first 2 games in the KHSA state tournament, losing to Marshall County in the semifinals. Sadie Worth, who was here tonight, was named the 2nd region player of the year and was a candidate for Kentucky Miss Basketball. And Sadie today, after school, signed to play college career at Transylvania University. So we're really proud of her and wish her the success moving on to the next level. Very recently here, the dance team, and this is as recently as some of this is yesterday, but they competed virtually and won the NDA national competition in small varsity game day. That happened a couple of weeks ago. So, they didn't get to travel to Orlando, but they did compete virtually. Spent quite a bit of time recording their dance routine, sending that in, and they won that. Their first in-person competition that they attended was the Region 1 Hip Hop Championship. They came in second, and they came in first in the Region 1 Hip Hop Championship, and they came in second in the game day division. And they did compete yesterday for the state championship, where they came in 6th in game day and 9th in hip hop. The cheer team participated in the region tournament or region competition and won that in game day. And they went on Thursday of last week to participate in the state competition, where they came in 5th in the state. So we're really proud and pleased with both of those groups. They have spent more time practicing than any other group. They were part of the original group of athletes that we approved to start in July, because their season starts early with sideline cheer and dance, and that just has continued longer this year than normal. So a very long season for them, and some good success. So we're really proud of them. Our swim team had 1 individual, Hannah Martin, and 1 relay team made of Lily Martin, Hannah Martin, Hallie Mattingly, and Maggie Hollis advanced to the state swim meet. The wrestling team had 2 state qualifiers, J.J. Pointer and Rance Hawkins, both qualified. The bowling team had a female qualifier for the state tournament. She finished 17th in the state. That's Maggie Johnson. And then Maggie and Holden Hobby competed in the unified state bowling tournament, where they were state runner-up. So a great finish for them. The bass fishing team had 1 boat, which is 2 fishermen, qualify for the state tournament. Nate Coombs and Quinn Harmon fished in that on the 7th and 8th last week. The boys archery team advanced to the state tournament, where they finished 12th in the state as a team. 2 girls qualified individually for the state tournament. One of them finished in the top 15, and I didn't put her name down here. I believe Hayden Wolf is who that was. Currently for spring sports, the baseball team is 14-11. I updated since I typed what you guys have. They're 14-11, and they are working hard to get better every day, spending a lot of time at practice, and just continuing to give it everything they've got. The softball team is 17-9, and their losses, they play just a tremendous schedule. If you look at, I counted it up earlier, the 9 games they've lost to, those teams have a combined record of 170-57. So they're playing great competition, and the teams that they've lost to are very good, and those games have generally been really close, a 1 or 2 run differential. The track teams and the tennis teams are both having good seasons. Both on the girls' side, for both of those especially, the girls' track team has won most of the meets that they've been involved with, and we have a very good thrower, shot put, and discus in Ashby Greenwell, and a good hurdler in Isabella Tishner. And on the boys' side, Jaheim Williams is running well in the 100 and 400 meter dash for the boys, and Blaine Crampy is doing well in pole vault. So we're hoping that we can make the state meet as a team, but if not, then we're looking for those individuals to qualify for the state meet when that comes around. The region track meet is May 26th. And the tennis teams are doing well. Like I said, the girls team, again, is doing well. We will be starting the region tennis tournament here. We're hosting that in Henderson on the 24th of May, with the 22nd of May being an optional start date, depending on the weather forecast. If it looks like it's going to rain, we're going to try to start early to get those in. And Henderson County High School continues to be in compliance with all KHSA bylaws. And that's all I've got. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions, Mr. Andrews? Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and your efforts. Next item would be old business, starting with Dr. Lawson, athletics, COVID testing.
Yes, sir. Before we go to that, I'd like to thank Mr. Ransom and Mr. Andrews for their leadership and their diligence in moving Henderson County High School forward. Obviously, they put in a lot of work in that, and we certainly appreciate their leadership. As you all well know, we provided COVID testing for our athletics this year, and we're under a board action that would have continued that through the end of this school year. Tomorrow is the last day of this school year, and I just want to say on behalf of all of our student athletes and families, thank you for that extra layer of protection and safety that you've provided, and your diligence in doing everything we can and everything we could at each stage of COVID. You've gone above and beyond for that. I want to ask the board, as of tomorrow, the last day of school, and as we head into the sports seasons past this year, headed towards next year, that we thank you for that service, but we discontinue COVID testing after last day of school tomorrow. I don't think an action is required on that, Mr.
There is no
Waller.
action required under that unless there is some reasoning that this board wants to bring up additional testing or whatever. And at this point in time, the original action was for this school year. And that's where it ends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless there are any other questions. Okay, next item on the agenda would be the Senate Bill 128. Each of us received some information with regards to that Senate Bill 128. And Ms. Wolf, you're going to address it at this time?
So at the last board meeting, I presented information in regards to Senate Bill 128. I just kind of want to go over very quickly the guidelines. By May 1st, any student or family interested in submitting a request for the supplemental school year program had to submit a request. And then I believe on May 10th, we sent you guys, everyone on the board, the list of names and applications of families that had requested the SSYP year. And then the board must approve or reject all requests by June 1st. So I'm here this evening asking that we make a decision and ask for the board's approval or rejection of the Senate Bill 128 SSYP request.
Anybody have any questions, Ms. Wolf, of that information that was supplied up to this point? Get your microphone. That's no problem. I see Steve stretching back there to get your words out to those people that are viewing it.
Okay, did everybody catch that?
Okay.
Okay. And,
Go ahead, Dr. Lawson.
I'll defer to whatever you think is, we've had discussions about it. I'll defer to your discretion on that or your feeling on that.
I'd like to ask one question before you get moving. Have all the parents that been contacted and discussed this, of what it's going to entail for those students that did apply?
Yes, every student that applied has had multiple parent contacts. I will say we still have 2 families that have never responded back, but yes, every family that applied has had multiple contacts and a sit-down conversation with either myself or Mr. Thompson.
Okay, and so what we have on policy right now is anybody in kindergarten through 8th grade can repeat that at a parent's request at any time, right? And this is just from, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms.
No, go ahead.
Kindergarten through 8th grade. So 9th grade through 12th grade, they just move along as credits are advised, and there was some information given to us with regards to college eligibility, with regards to athletics and so forth and so on. So ultimately, those parents understand how this is going to impact them.
In addition to having a sit-down conversation, we also presented them with the parent and student contract, and the signature on that contract was saying that they had been presented with the information and understood.
Thank you. That's all I had. Go ahead, Dr. Lawson.
No, I only want to say that Ms. Wolf and Mr. Thompson have had a very thorough process in communicating. There are many questions about this bill, and so they've done a really nice job of clarifying all that for the parents and communicating with them well. To address your question, Mr. Alvis, the number of requests we have would not mean an increase in number of teachers. It would not mean an increase in a facility add-on, which was one of the questions going into this. And so all that comes back to your number of requests that we have. Yes, sir.
There was one thing that was sort of alluded to, but I think it was something on the order of, we have kids that were, I guess, failing, and they weren't eligible for this, but they were going to be taken care of through summer school. Is there some kind of, is there a number associated with it, or did I get that wrong, or holdovers or repeats, or I'm not sure I remember the exact term that was, would you clarify that for me, please, ma'am?
Any student that, for example, we did have students that were being retained, meaning the family and the school had already met and made decisions for the student to repeat a grade, okay?
Okay.
Now, at the high school level, a student is retained if they do not earn enough credits to move on into the next grade level.
Okay.
Students can attend summer school. It's based on the criteria of each school, but yes, they can attend summer school to attempt to recoup some of those credits that they failed. But in the situations that we have, even attending summer school would not have changed whether that student would be retained or not.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alvis. Very good question. So at this point in time, you're looking for this board to make a decision to either approve or disapprove Senate Bill 128. So at this time, I would entertain a motion from anyone on the board for either a recommendation to approve it or a recommendation to not approve it.
Make a motion to recommend to approve.
I have a motion to approve this Senate Bill 128 from Mr. Alvis. So now I'd look for a second. I'm seeing your lips, Tracy, being second. Is that, I can't hear you though. So I have a second from Ms. Williams. Is there any questions, comments? Now I'm heard, I heard you barely. Okay, all those in favor of approving this motion to accept Senate Bill 128 in our district, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I have 2 ayes here. I haven't heard anything from you. I see aye from Tracy. All those not in favor of this Senate Bill 122, 128, please say no.
No.
Okay, the vote passes 3-2 in favor of accepting Senate Bill 128. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda. I'm still not in autopilot, or is autopilot's not working, so I'm having a hard time finding where I'm at.
The eight,
Semi-monthly pay. Dr. Lawson.
We did a survey with our staff. We had a small majority of staff that said they would rather have semi-monthly pay rather than monthly pay. And so for a long time, our district has had monthly pay, and so this constitutes a policy change. And so tonight I ask that you approve this as a first reading. And then after y'all approve this, I'll talk to you a little bit more about kind of our order of events. Right now is a very busy time in the area of school finance, and so we want to make sure we put first things first. But I'll ask that you approve this as a first reading tonight at the May board meeting.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you're making a recommendation that we go to semi-monthly pay.
I'm making the recommendation that we go to semi-monthly pay. However, there are more items on this agenda that will take precedent over that in terms of timing. And so tonight, if we approve this first reading, it would allow us to start the process that would allow us to go to semi-monthly pay. I don't anticipate that we could get semi-monthly pay in this upcoming school year in order to allow all of our employees ample time to get all of their accounts transferred in order to make sure that we have applicants. This will constitute us hiring an individual to do this in payroll.
Okay. Understand what you're saying.
So and we have parts of that I'll explain more as we go through and on the finance end.
So then the motion from Dr. Lawson at this point is to approve first reading of policy 3.121 for salaries and policy 3.2.21 for salaries is presented as going from monthly to semi-monthly. Is that what I understand the motion to be?
Yes, sir.
Recommendation.
So
So you
moved.
heard his recommendation, so I'd entertain a motion.
so moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Alvis that we accept this as first reading of these policy changes. I have a second. I have a second from Mr. Haynes. Any questions or comments? At this point, Robin, would you do a roll call vote on this, please? Because I don't want to miss Tracy or anybody else.
Yay.
No?
Yes.
I couldn't see.
No.
Got a no. So at this point in time, the policy for first readings of 3.121 and 3.2.2, 3.221, getting my points and everything out of order, passes 3-2. Thank you. So the next item would be new business. And that would be the Hanover Research for Certified Salary Study. Ms. Carter.
Is this on? Yes, it is. All right, good evening. For your consideration this evening is a contract with Hanover Research. It is a one-year contract for a research service project to create a custom research report and analysis. While we've been working on a study of our certified salary schedule, and I do have a sample of it here for you this evening, we also wanted to give you the opportunity to approve an outside independent research firm that can offer their analysis and research tools to us. And Hanover is the company that we used for our classified salary schedule as well.
So is there any questions?
Yes, I have a
Go ahead.
I've read this over a couple of times, and is the $45,000 a subscription fee, and a salary project may be one of the projects that would be covered by that, but that's not the only thing that you're going to, I mean, in other words, your pay search and study is not going to cost $45,000, is it?
The project you can work on, you can request one custom research project at a time. The classified salary study took over, I think, around 18 months to complete. So we've asked for Hanover to complete this within our 1-year service time. Also, within that contract, it does say that the client, which would be our school district, receives access for 50 users to use Hanover Digital, which houses the research library and data lab. They have reports that they've already published that would be available to us. This but within our subscription fee, we would also have a custom research report allowable project that they would conduct for us.
Okay, I got, I sent you and Dr. Lawson a question. I apologize for it being so close in the afternoon. I didn't have access to, that's a long story you don't want to hear. Is this for the hourly rate or is it for total compensation?
This is for the certified. We have completed our classified salary schedule research project, and that was presented to the board at the last spring, spring 2020. And the results of that are reflected in our 2020-2021 salary for our classified staff. At the time, Hanover did not study our salaried staff, most of which are certified. So this would include all of the positions that were not studied in the previous.
I understand that, and please forgive me if I'm being tedious. But you can look at the hourly rate.
Oh, sorry, total.
It's the total compensation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, hourly rates don't tell you a whole lot if you don't get in all the other fringes and things that go along with it.
That was what was originally requested of Cindy and Dr. Lawson, is that she go out and look at this from supplements and additional job responsibilities for our certified teachers that look at all the elements of it so that we could make sure we're competitive. Yes, sir.
Because there's some of them have a defined benefit plan, some of them have a defined contribution plans.
Well aware of all that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Other questions? Good questions, though. Okay, so the recommendation at this time is to use the Hanover folks to do a salary, wage, benefits, supplemental salaries study on our certified.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is correct.
You've heard the recommendation from Dr. Lawson. Entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as presented.
I move we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Have a motion from Mr. Haynes. Second. I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you, and I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Carter. She did much of the preliminary work to get this going, and so we certainly appreciate her work.
Next item would be the foster care MOU between Henderson County Schools and Kentucky Department of Community-Based Services and Action. Ms. Wolf?
Yes. In your board packet, you received an actual memorandum of understanding that has been written in collaboration with myself and the two directors in our local DCBS office. I will say this is pretty much putting what we already do into writing. In Henderson County, we are extremely lucky. We have exceptional relationships between the school and our DCBS office, our juvenile justice office, and the court system. So this was pretty much just formalizing and writing down the process and procedure that we've already had in place for many years here in Henderson. So does anyone have any questions in regards to the MOU? Okay.
We received this in our board package, had an opportunity to review it, and this just indicates that, I guess Ms. Wolf will be our contact, right?
I would be, sir.
Any questions or comments? Then the recommendation would be that we accept this memo of agreement between the two operating facilities as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Alvis. Second for Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Vote unanimous.
Aye.
You coming through too now? Okay, the next item is the consent agenda, which includes 9 items for grant approvals, student overnight trip request, extended disability leave request, transportation request, bid recommendations, emergency certificates for substitute teaching, and 2021-22 school activity budget and fundraisers, student fees, and some bid lists for 2021-22. As the consent agenda is presented, is there anybody that wants to pull any item? If not, I'd entertain a motion. We accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion, Ms. Williams. We approve the consent agenda as presented. Looking for a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous. Consent agenda is approved. Next item would be the financial tentative budget for 2021-2022. Ms. Cloutier.
Almost to the end. Okay, the tentative.
The end of what?
The end of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Could be, you don't know. The tentative budget in your packet is required to be approved by May 30th each year and submitted to KDE. This is the second budget of the 3 budgets in the cycle that you'll see for 21-22. There are a few changes in this budget that you saw from the budget that you saw in January, the draft budget. I've included $260,000 was added to cover the 12% increase in the CERS match. It went from 24.06 to 26.95. We had a year off last year from COVID. They delayed that, but it's coming now. Additional $320,000 was added to the original $310,000 in the draft budget for buses. This should allow them to stay on their regular current replacement schedule, or 5 to 6 buses per year. $175,000 for other vehicles, which includes maintenance vehicles and vehicles to transport our students, like the Suburbans we had. This increased by $115,000 because we didn't spend any this year, and that will carry over until the next year. $629,912 is included for rank and step increases based on the current salary schedules. And the amount for replacement devices for our one-to-one initiative was actually reduced from $750 to $500 because we plan to utilize some of those other funding sources like ESSER. So hopefully we may not even have to touch that $500,000. We may have enough funds elsewhere. Our contingency remains well above the 2% minimum required by KDE. It's currently at 7.52. Down slightly from the 8.18 in the draft budget due to the changes mentioned above. Overall, our revenues and expenses are staying about the same percentage as they typically do. This year, our local effort contribution will decrease slightly due to the fully funded kindergarten in the SEAT formula, and that's only in there for 1 year at this time. Our debt service payments will be $3.2 million in 21-22. This leaves us cash of $2.7 million for other projects. I'd like to thank Mr. Steiner for always doing a good job prioritizing those projects to allow us to get the most bang for our buck with that cash. Next, I included a sheet in there that shows percentages of general wage increases. I included a 1 and a 1.5%. I would recommend that we include one of those in the next working budget. We also talked about the possibility of a one-time supplemental pay increase again, maybe in the month of December, along with one of those general wage increases. Some of that could possibly be funded with some of our federal relief dollars. Other than a general wage increase and the Hanover study that was just approved, I believe everything has been included in this budget. And you know, the very last thing I'm going to say, I'll say it every year, I would recommend taking the 4% tax rate in the fall. It should be a priority. It should be a priority every year. Remember that a 4% doesn't actually mean a 4% increase. It just means 4% more revenue than what the compensating rate would produce. We currently rank 5th out of 7 of our surrounding districts in tax rates levied. Only McLean and Webster are lower than we are. If you remember me talking about last year, we don't want to forego that revenue between the 4% and the compensating and create that gap. Because if you remember me showing that one slide, that gap equals about $670,000 every year forever. So just continuing to make the sound financial decisions that you all have been making will keep us on the path to pursue excellence in Henderson County schools. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a comment.
Ma'am.
Please,
Can you hear me?
only if you speak up.
I just want to take a minute to thank Cindy for her extra hard work that she does on a daily basis for our school district in keeping us where we need to be, which is obviously not an easy task. She does an outstanding job, and I think we need to let her know how much we appreciate that.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate those comments.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes,
No, I
indeed.
don't like that.
I think everybody would echo those. I would have one question, though. This tentative budget does not have to include a wage increase, or that you would want us to recommend one thing, or Dr. Lawson?
I would like for all of you all to recommend something for me to build into the working budget, yes.
My recommendation that you approve the 1.5% increase in our budget, and that next year we also look at a possible one-time supplement, same as we did this year.
Understand that. So that would be the recommendation, that we would approve this tentative budget with a 1.5% increase in wage and salaries for next year, correct? So you've heard the recommendation from Dr. Lawson. I'd entertain a motion. We accept the recommendation as presented. Have a motion from Mr. Smith. Second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Have 4 ayes. All those not in favor signify by saying no, please. Have 1 no. The motion passed as presented, 4-1. Thank you. Next item would be the treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report for the month of April includes total receipts of $4,342,373 and total expenses of $7,326,973 for a net decrease in all funds of $2,984,600, which I always say is typical this time of year.
Yep.
Revenues coming in.
So we've seen the treasurer's report as presented. Dr. Lawson?
I request you approve the treasurer's report as
Mr. Waller?
presented.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
Did you hear my vote a while ago? That I voted aye?
Yes, ma'am. It was 4-1. Did you not hear me summarize that? I'm sorry.
Okay. I just didn't know. Well, I just want to make sure you understood what my wishes were. Was I was saying I approve.
Got it, Tracy. Thank you. I could tell by the smile on your face and the compliments for Cindy at the time. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
So, Dr. Lawson,
Yes, sir. I request you approve the treasurer's report as presented by Ms. Cloutier.
okay, you heard the motion from the superintendent that the treasurer's report be approved. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion, Mr. Alvis says we accept the treasurer's report as presented. Second. Second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. I saw your lips again. Vote unanimous. Next item would be the paid warrant.
The paid warrant report includes the periods of April 20th through May 17th. It includes total paid warrants of $5,875,011.82. Any questions on the paid warrants?
The information was in our packet prior to the meeting. Is there any questions with regards to the paid warrant? Dr. Lawson?
I request that you accept and approve the paid warrant report as presented by Ms. Cloutier.
Thank you.
So
Heard the
moved.
recommendation of the superintendent. Entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as presented. Was that a motion to approve that, Mr. Alvis?
Yes, sir, it was.
Have a motion, Mr. Alvis.
Second,
Second by Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Votes unanimous for me and Tracy. Please, Robin, let the record reflect that we received the personnel actions that were conducted between last meeting and this meeting, and that they're in the minutes. Next item would be to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Oh, Kirk's got the motion to adjourn. Sorry, Tracy, and Mr. Alvis already seconded, so you can go. Thank you all so very much.
that's it.
Good meeting.